Coming to you live from our studios in Belize City, this is the Evening News on Love Television for Tuesday, October 25th. We'll get you started with a look at the stories that are making the headlines for today. John Saldivar resumes duties as Minister of Defense. Blackador Key project gets the green light after making some adjustments. Minister Godwin Hulse weighs in on seismic testing. Coast Guard officer recovering from gunshot wound and Dr. Louis Zabany resigns as Belize Progressive Party's advisor. John Saldivar is a minister once more. He resumed his ministerial duties as of today after being suspended for 1 week. Prime Minister Dean Barrow made the decision to suspend Saldivar after documents surfaced that indicated that Saldivar had formed a business relationship with the infamous William Danny Mason. Today, his fellow cabinet ministers were presented with a legal opinion that, quote, rejects as invalid any conclusion that the minister, in consequence of the continued existence after September 2015 of a company in which both the minister and Mr. Mason had subscribed to shares, continued in a business relationship with Mr. Mason, end of quote. The release further states, quote, the opinion makes the point that after the company was formed, and no doubt because the minister shortly thereafter made unsavory discoveries about Mr. Mason, the minister took no steps to actually allot to himself or Mr. Mason any of the shares to which they had subscribed. This meant that they never actually became shareholders and the company never got off of the ground, end of quote. The release did not specify whose legal opinion was sought, and so we asked Minister Anthony Boots Martinez.
In my view, I am happy to see that the legal opinion vindicated my colleague, at least clear my colleague.
Whose legal opinion was it, sir?
I don't know. I don't know whose legal opinion. It was a legal opinion that was presented to the Prime Minister. And I think that I would want to refer to the legal opinion or have the question of directly whose legal opinion is it by the Prime Minister. In my humble opinion, when I look on the situation last week with as just as an ordinary citizen, not even as a minister, looking on the documents that was presented, in my humble opinion, I think it was in August of 2015, in my humble opinion, also too, Minister Saldivar stated that he several ties with Mr. Mason in September of last year. I might had a different opinion had the document been after September of last year.
Sir, one of the questions brought up when the announcement was made, whether or not, if on his suspension, whether or not his suspension with pay or without pay, how exactly does that work? Can a minister be suspended, a week?
Well, in my view, that was a discussion that was held with Minister Saldivar and the Prime Minister. I don't know. I heard the speculation in the media whether it could work so on. So I yet to research it even as a minister.
That wasn't discussed today at all?
No.
In the legal opinion obtained by the Prime Minister, it noted that it was important to emphasize that there is no allegation that Minister Saldivar interacted or associated with Mason after he ended contact with him. The legal opinion went on to state, quote, the charge against him is solely that by remaining a shareholder in common with Mr. Mason in a company which apparently never did anything after it was incorporated. Honorable Saldivar thereby remained in a business relationship with Mr. Mason, end of quote. Another point brought about by the legal report stated, quote, that is a purely legalistic argument. For the reasons stated above, it is wrong. Common ownership of shares in a moribund company does not put shareholders in a business relationship with each other, end of quote. According to Agriculture Minister Godwin Hulse, it is based on this legal opinion that the decision was made to clear Minister Saldivar and to have him resume his duties as the Minister of Defense.
With respect to the company, that shares were not issued. And so really there was no functioning company. They were subscribed, but they were not issued. So you cannot say that the man had a relationship, a business relationship, because the company was just paper, no shares was issued, and as a consequence, there could be no relationship. That is my general understanding. But the man said it's from September, and from September he said I had no further business relationship or no business relationship, and if that is what the opinion says, that is not a business relationship, I have to accept that.
Minister Shaldiva did not attend today's cabinet meeting. We asked him for a comment via text, but we got no response. The Blackador Investors Group announced this morning that they are removing all overwater structures from the ecological resort plans they had planned to construct at the Blackador Key. This morning, the group held a press conference to discuss their change in plans. Public relations representative and social specialist for the group, Dione Miranda, says that their decision is not motivated by the recent outcries against seismic testing, but by the caliber of investors that are interested in Blackador Key.
No overwater structures, and this is because the investor has decided that they are willing to take the changes in the economic returns because they value the Belizean citizens, they value stakeholder conversations, and they want to ensure that we do right for the people of Belize. It really has to do with the caliber of investor. Like we mentioned to you before, this is a thoughtful leadership segment of people who believe in wellness on a whole, and their wellness is in representative of the way that buildings are constructed, in the way they live their lives, in the way they carry themselves, in the things they invest in, the things that they do, and their continuous evolving in reference to understanding that they need to leave the world better than they left it behind.
Minister of Tourism Manuel Heredia stated that he admires and supports the stance taken by the Blackador Key investors because development and economy need to be balanced.
Given the green light to go ahead by the DOE, and these people have gone beyond what they have been asked. And then my understanding today is that they have decided, in the interest of controversies, in the interest of having a reputable name in Belize, they have decided that they are removing the over-the-water structures that were going to be used for renting to their guests or so, which means to say that these are people that want to be friendly, people that are listening to the voices of our people, and that they mean the best for Belize. And at the same time, I must say that I do believe in conservation, I do believe in doing things right, but there has to be a balance between development and economy.
Valentio Rosado, biodiversity scientist working with the group, stated that they have covered all bases to ensure environmental protection.
We have gone above and beyond of what is required through the EIA process. There's over 2 years of biological work that has been done on the island, studying the vegetation, studying the soil, the water quality, and this provides opportunity for Belizeans to build capacity and learn the different methodologies and at the same time the solutions. I think the most important aspect of this project is the innovation and the solutions that are being used in terms of the architecture and the design of the island. It fully considers the climatic impacts and coming up with ways to address how the island can become resilient.
Miranda stated that the decision of removing all overwater structures from the plans is a permanent decision. At Cabinet's meeting today, the topic of government's recent decision to suspend the seismic testing was discussed. Originally, Cabinet had given permission to a foreign company to conduct airgun seismic survey to collect data from Belize's offshore area. That decision received heavy backlash, especially from the environmental community. A consultation was held after there was a public outcry which led the government to take a step back and revise its original decision. And while there is a suspension in place, will the government ban such activities? This is the hope of the environmental community. Cabinet Minister responsible for Agriculture, Godwin Hulse, spoke on the matter, saying that all the emotional drive behind the environmental community can ruin the potential possibilities.
Cabinet said long ago, from last term, that in fact there is going to be a moratorium on all of this. And there is a moratorium on it. And that, in fact, as I understand it, the NGO community, especially Oceana, was going to submit to the government some conditions for lifting the moratorium. The moratorium is a policy, it's not a law. But government had agreed that, in fact, they would do two things. One, they would ban is the word, any sort of exploration in World Heritage sites and also within a kilometer of either side of the reef. And some coordinates for that needs to be determined because it is not a linear, the reef is not linear. But in other sites, of course, the protected areas, you need EIA. But government has undertaken that there's going to be a moratorium, and that is exactly what it means. One of the conditions that I have seen is that for lifting of any moratorium is that you would bring in some expert who would look at the economic cost benefit of lifting it if you want. But then I ask the question from my own technical and engineering point of view, how on earth are you going to know what the benefit would be if you don't do a study in the first place to find out what is there? And my understanding of the seismic was just that. It is not going to, the experts have said it's not going to destroy anything. It was just to map out there, and it's a part of a mapping that's coming down all the way from Mexico, as I understand it, to say, well, what is there? Sometimes in this country, we have to be frank, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad and so, but my position is we have to, in this country, start to make decisions on the basis of good evidence and good facts, man. This emotional drive that we have to everything where we huff and puff is not good, because it destroys potential possibilities. If you do not know what is there, then how could you ever make a proper decision? It's not drilling anything. Nobody was contracted to drill. It's a big ship out there doing some studies. And as far as I'm concerned, proper information should have gone out there before everybody is jumping up and down and huffing and puffing.
But sir, but that the original decision by cabinet was hasty and misinformed.
No, I don't think so at all. Cabinet said there was going to be a moratorium, and with respect to the seismic, I don't think it was misinformed at all. I think it was well informed, but circumstances are what circumstances are.
The People's United Party has called on the government to conduct a national referendum on offshore oil exploration. The Ministry of Home Affairs has launched the Belize Crime Observatory, which is a consolidated database of local information. Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Home Affairs, retired Colonel George Lovell, said the observatory will be very useful in data gathering, especially for researchers and students.
There were three main objectives. We wanted to be able to inform the public a little bit more in terms of all that is going on, and for them to be able to have crime data informations readily available in a one-shop, one-stop area. What we note when we first thought about all this is that there are a wealth of information that is out there, but it is basically housed in a number of agencies and ministries. We wanted to be able to capture that in one national observatory or repository, where when researchers, when consultants, when scholars, when students, when anyone wants to be able to get this information, they don't find themselves being frustrated going from one area to the next, spending countless hours and being pushed around to try and get a little bit of information that can be have with the touch of a button.
Colonel Lovell also spoke of the type of information and departments that will be available in the observatory.
We are looking at information that we would put out for major crimes, for example. We are looking at information that would be at Ministry of Human Development and Poverty Alleviation, with all the programs that they are doing for those at-risk youth, people who may be involved. We are looking at Ministry of Education. They are also doing a number of initiatives that speaks to information that needs to be had by decision makers and policy makers. We are looking at Restore Belize as some examples. So it is information that is out there for people who are at risk, and those crime data for major crimes as the police have them.
Lovell added that the information will be updated every month. The database cost around $500,000 to implement and receive donations from various international agencies. 24-year-old Daniel Arzu Jr. is in the intensive care unit at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital in Belize City after being shot yesterday evening at around 5 o'clock on Neils Penn Road. He is in a critical condition and has been placed in an induced coma by his attending physicians. Arzu is the son of Superintendent of Police Daniel Arzu Sr., who currently commands the Benque Viejo del Carmen Police Station. Love News spoke with the father on his son's condition and prognosis.
I received a call yesterday evening sometime after 5 p.m. and I was told that an incident happened and it concerns my son, and was advised that he was shot once to the head and was transported to the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, where he is currently undergoing medical treatment. Well, I'm advised by the doctor that he's in a critical condition. They undergo a surgery yesterday evening that met success, but he is still in a critical condition as we speak. He received an injury to his head that bullet exited as well, and he is struggling for his life as it is right now. The doctor are asking us to be hopeful. We are hopeful as a family. I do know that my son is a hard-working young man. I do not see him engaged in any criminal activities. He is an element of the Coast Guard, and he is relatively doing okay. He's been doing courses within the country and outside, and his ambition is to grow within the organization. The doctor seemed to be quite careful of his advice, and he is indicating to me as well that they are still rendering treatment to him, and he is not in a position at this point in time. The prognosis will be after 48 hours to see his response, and then he will be in a better position to advise. But as it is right now, they are monitoring the situation and see how he's progressing.
According to Arzu, he's leaving the investigation in the hands of the police officers. He says he has been informed that so far 2 persons have been detained. The crime happened in the jurisdiction of the Eastern Division South, led by Assistant Commissioner of Police Chester Williams. ACP Williams briefed the media on the investigation so far.
Police were called to the Penn Road area, to an apartment known as Pinky Apartment, where on arrival the police were informed that a male person by the name of Daniel Arzu Jr. had been shot and had already been transported to the KHMH by some individual. Police investigation into that matter so far, we have detained 3 persons for questioning. He is a young man, as far as we are concerned, of impeccable character, and that is one of the reasons why it is so difficult at this time for us to be able to establish a motive. So in terms of going into his character, there is nothing there that we can see that could direct us to a possible motive as to why this might have occurred.
Commander of the Belize Coast Guard Admiral John Borland has been very supportive in the situation and has told the media that the entire BCG team has been rooting for Arzu's full recovery.
We will never leave a fallen comrade to fall into the hands of the enemy. So instantly, everyone who was on deck reacted, and we all converged on the hospital. You know, our immediate concern was, you know, the condition of our sailor, and you know, showing our presence, being there for the family, being there for the sailor, to ensure that, you know, nothing is left to chance, that he gets every bit of support that he can to make his recovery process successful. We expect to get engaged in our area of operations, but not engaged or shot or taken down in our homes. You know, we think about force protection where it lends to our area of operations, our area of responsibility, but it also transcends to our homes, to the societies, to the community in which we live. The young sailor is very resilient, very strong physically fit, and we hope all of those things play to his advantage in him making his recovery. One of my immediate concerns prior to this incident was there are too many Coast Guard people living in Belize City. Now, I'm not saying Belize City is not a good place to live, but you saw the opening up of that new facility last week, where we'll be able to house now between 50 and 100 people, to get our people out of the city. The city is very congested, and the possibilities of coming in contact with people who are out to hurt you for whatever reason is there. We can't get everybody out of the city. The city is home to many people. This is our society. This is where we come from. But we do our best to take our people out of the area immediate danger.
Arzu's father told Love News that there was a period of consciousness where his son was speaking and did reveal some information, but up to news time, he remained in an induced coma. Love News was reliably informed that prior to Superintendent Arzu finding out that his son's incident, senior members of the Belize Police Department had already begun circulating the news, a situation that Superintendent Arzu says he was very unhappy about, as he was yet to be notified. A teenage girl was raped last night in Belize City. The girl told police that the man forcefully entered her home. Assistant Commissioner of Police Chester Williams, who commands the Eastern Division South, tells us what happened and how the police are handling this case.
Last night, sometime around 11 p.m. thereabout, a female of 16 years of age reported to us that she was left home alone, and during that time that she was at home alone, a male person entered the home and had carnal intercourse with her against her will. So that matter is currently being investigated again by us to be able to ascertain what actually took place. We are hoping that pretty soon we'll be able to locate the person of interest that we're looking for, because we have a person of interest that we're looking for. And when that person is found, then the chips may fall where they may.
In April of this year, the Belize Progressive Party announced that well-known educator, author, and economist Dr. Louis Zabany had joined its ranks. Today, Zabany issued a notice to say he has resigned as advisor to the executive of the BPP. Zabany expressed his gratitude to the party for inviting him to share his expertise. He goes on to say, quote, "Let us as a nation continue to work towards sustainable human development by ensuring that our political system improves, that our social capital grows, that our economy strengthens, and that our environment is protected. As we demand the highest standards of behavior from our leaders, so too must we strive as individuals to live lives of integrity, generosity, humility, and productivity. And let us focus on rebuilding and strengthening our families that are the bedrock for our future prosperity as a people." End of quote. After Gaspar Vega's resignation from cabinet, Prime Minister Dean Barrow was forced to reshuffle his cabinet once more. In his reshuffling, Minister Elodio Aragon Jr. was given the portfolio of Police or Home Affairs. Before becoming a politician, Minister Aragon was a career police officer, and initially it was expected that he would have been given the police portfolio after he won his first election. However, now the minister has returned to his roots, and he says he will do his best.
Going back with a lot of enthusiasm, I'm going with a mindset that will focus on trying to solve some of our crime issues in this country. It's not an easy task. I think out of all our ministries, this is one of the most challenging areas as a minister, and I think as a nation likewise. I do think that there's a lot that I can contribute, especially with the skills that I have, the training that I've come with, and the knowledge that I have from serving as a police officer for many years. And I will do my best to try to look at where we are as a police department and where we need to move it to ensure we improve upon the crime situation here in this country. I am ready. I'm poised for that right now. I'm very focused, because at the end of the day, I want to make a difference for this country. I want to make a difference for the Belize Police Department, and of course to all those people who come to this country day in and day out to visit. I want to make this country as safe as can be. I know there are challenges. There's a lot of challenges out there in all aspects.
Those challenges that Police Minister Elodio Aragon is speaking of are also faced by police officers. Since last year, we have been reporting on the deplorable state of the police barracks at Keycaulker. In an interview back in June 2015, the then Police Minister John Sauliva told the media that a Kabay loan had been secured to rehabilitate the facilities, among other projects. However, more than a year has passed and the Keycaulker police housing remains the same. The new Police Minister Aragon Elodio says he plans to remedy the situation once and for all.
I'm not sure where we are with that. Like I said, this is my first. Just yesterday I had a meeting with the CO trying to set things as to what we need to do and where we want to go. Like I said, on Friday I'm meeting with all officers at the Belize Police Department, and from there we will move forward. But definitely when it comes to making and asking our policemen and women to do their job, then we have, as administration, as policymakers, we have to do our part in looking after their welfare. And I do think that when it comes to housing, I know the situation. I've been there. I think I was in Keycaulker and I paid a visit to the police department there and I saw the situation. But definitely those are things we have to look at. Those are things that we have to remedy, and I'm sure that will be.
Godwin Hulse is one of the cabinet ministers with the most responsibilities. He is the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries, the Environment and Sustainable Development, and Immigration. Following last week's cabinet reshuffle, he was also given the portfolio of Agriculture. According to Hulse, he plans to grow that sector.
This country has the potential, we used to say in the past, to be the breadbasket of the Caribbean and all sorts of statements. Agriculture has tremendous potential. Yes, we need quality products because the market is demanding that. And this is not only foreign market. We shouldn't be producing quality products for foreigners. We're producing quality products for ourselves. But there has to be a process where the farmers who are engaged in this benefit from that process. They have to make money or not, they're not in the business. That is pure and simple. And so the principal focus will be how can we grow this. There will be times when, of course, we have to allow imports when we have shortfalls and other things. But that program and that process has to be worked out properly, so we have a smooth relationship between what we import and what we have domestically. And I will set out to do that. As far as I'm concerned, when I said let's get growing, there's no reason until we are very, very clear, and I want to make this, until we are very, 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 very clear that it really cannot be done, that we should not look at how we will go back from 3 million boxes of citrus to our once glorious figure of 10 million. There is no reason why we should not be able to expand cane production properly. There's no reason why we had 6 million pounds of rice in the south and now we have 600,000. We should get back there and then more. There is no reason why we cannot get back in all these products, bananas, etc., and get this country moving in terms of agriculture potential and development. And that's what I'll set out to do.
Minister Hulse had the police portfolio before it was transferred to Minister Elodio Aragon Jr. Randy August, a fisherman who allegedly assisted in the retention of over $7,000 worth of jewelry, the property of attorney Naima Barrow, was denied bail when he appeared today before Magistrate Carlon Mendoza and pled not guilty to a charge of handling stolen goods. The prosecutor objected to bail on the grounds that the offense has become prevalent and there is the possibility that if granted bail, the defendant will hamper the investigation because over $30,000 worth of jewelry is still missing. August said that he has 2 kids and 1 on the way, and he has an uncle who is disabled. But that was not enough to persuade Magistrate Mendoza to offer bail, and August was remanded into custody until December 22nd. The jewelry was stolen during a burglary of Barrow's home located on Cumberbatch Street. The police reported that they recovered some of it when they were pawned by August. A businesswoman of Santa Elena Town, Cayo District, was robbed of over $25,000 in cash and checks yesterday morning as she was about to make a deposit at the bank. Love News spoke with the Deputy Commander for the San Ignacio Police Department, Assistant Superintendent of Police Daniel Iche, who says that they are in search of 2 known individuals.
Yesterday morning, Monday, at about 9:15 a.m., a Chinese businesswoman from Brothers Store in Santa Elena parked her vehicle at the corner of Waite Street and Wyatt Street in San Ignacio and was walking towards the bank to do a deposit when a male person approached her and grabbed away a deposit bag that she had containing an assortment of cash and checks, and made off with the deposit bag. We deployed more investigators on the scene, and they obtained some information that we are working on right now. We are looking for 2 persons of interest who we believe could assist us in the investigation.
This morning, police were tipped off about a burglary happening at 88th Kitchen on Central American Boulevard. Police found the 3 robbers inside of the building. Assistant Commissioner of Police, Officer commanding the Eastern Division South, Chester Williams, tells us that the case was further compounded because one of the robbers is a minor.
Guys intercepted in progress. Can you talk to us about that?
This morning, sometime around 4 a.m., the police, based again on information provided to us by members of the public, responded to a burglary in progress at 88th Kitchen, that is on Central American Boulevard. Upon arrival at the location, police found 1 male person and a further search of the building led the police to 2 individuals inside of the building, one of whom is a minor, aged 15 years. All 3 persons were taken into custody, and a search of one of the individuals at the police station yielded just over $90 Belize currency, which we believe is proceeds from the burglary.
Under the Family and Children's Act, the parents are liable, and ACP Williams tells us how the police will proceed with the parents.
We have been strict in terms of minors who are found on the streets between the hours of 9 and 6 a.m. That is 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. So in the case of the minor, we have also arrested and charged the parent of the minor for allowing a child to be out on the street whilst being unsupervised between that time period. And to give you an update, I think this is the 6th parent that we have charged, and we have had convictions in respect to it as well. So we continue to enforce the curfew law, and where we encounter any minor on the streets between that time period, then we take action against the parent under the Families and Children's Act, which deals with the issue of curfew. Most naturally, they are upset over it, but we have a job to do, and as parents, if they would keep their kids at home during those times, it would make our job much easier. And we want other parents to get the message that if you allow the same to occur with your children, then you will suffer the same fate as these ones are suffering.
ACP Williams stated that this is the 2nd time this minor is found by police unsupervised by his parents. Our thought conditioner for today is from Thich Nhat Hanh. It reads, quote, "Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free." End of quote. This has been the Evening News on Love Television, and we invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. We thank you for joining us. Have a safe and enjoyable evening, and we'll be back here tomorrow. I am Taryn Butcher.